Okay, thank you everyone for joining. I hope you all can hear me. Okay, so today's topic will be about ransomware. There are many kinds of attacks, and I'll be more specific with ransomware today. So I'll teach you how to prepare, prevent, and protect yourself from an attack. So I usually start with a quote for all my webinars. For today's quote will be ransomware is more about manipulating vulnerabilities in human psychology than the adversary's technological sophistication. So what does this quote mean? You will know when I go further into this webinar. So this is the lineup for today's webinar. So I will start off with an introduction and the implications of ransomware, and then I'll go ahead and share with you some trends and recent news of ransomware, and then proceed on to share with you how human elements affect and support ransomware, and then the losses and costs, risk and recovery, and backup and monitoring. And then I will follow on with a case study where we can discuss and analyze real life cases. Okay, so what is ransomware? Ransomware is a malware. It's a malware that is designed to deny a user or an organization to access files or systems on their computer by encrypting these files and demanding a ransom payment in exchange for the decryption key. With the key, they can access to their files again. And cyber attackers usually put organizations in a position where without paying the ransom, they will never get access to their software or computer. And it's the easiest and cheapest option for them to regain access to their files. So how this is a step by step how this happens. So first you download and get your system infected. So how do you download this bug? So basically through phishing, the most common method where they send you a malicious link and you click on it and you download the bug, and then it encrypts your file, and then it displays a message on your screen saying that a pop-up or something saying that your files are locked, and in order for you to get the decryption key, you have to make a payment, and there's instructions set on how to make that payment. And once you give the payment, they will give you the key to regain access to your network or software. So an example of how they look like. So this is an example of how the pop-up will look like. So with a really bright red, scary pop-up with exclamation marks and caps lock saying that you are in danger. Okay, so now I'm going to share with you about the recent trends. So these are 6 example of trends that exist. So let me go through with you. First is data extortion, where attackers gain prominence by extorting their victims and posting stolen data online when they fail to meet the group's demands. Like if you refuse to pay the ransom, they will threaten you to leak your sensitive data, your customers' data out in online. Next is data monetization, where one compromised machine can provide adversaries with a wealth of company secrets and sensitive data ready to be on sale for highest bidders. So this could be even a competitor who wants to know your trade secrets. And next is targeting endpoints in clouds. This is where organizations nowadays move a lot of their critical data into cloud. So the landscape of endpoint vulnerabilities is shifting along with them. So one compromised endpoint can offer adversaries access to sensitive data in the cloud for all kinds of criminal acts. Next is scaling up through automation. So in this, uh, targeting uncommon platforms. So this is where a lot of people misunderstand that uncommon platforms are least likely to be targets, but no, they are mostly targeted. And why is because of business critical devices without ready backups. So these devices without ready backups are actually hackers and threat attackers targets, because these devices can't be rebuilt, or replacing such a device could be really expensive, and the only best alternative is to regain this data by paying the ransom. Next is the scaling up through automation. This is where attackers use AIs or machine learning to do attacking, which will allow them to get into wider range of targets. and followed by exploiting zero-day vulnerabilities. So they will hire a exploit developer to find vulnerabilities for them, and ransomwares could use these to exploit the same unknown fault several times before the weakness is discovered or patched. So, for an example, in a case where Lockbit, a ransomware group, there are several groups. This is one of them. They have posted a 50,000 bounty for weaknesses in their encryption algorithm. So this will go for sale, and they can earn more than getting the ransom. Okay, these are some real life cases, and you'll be surprised how um, when this happened. This is between end of January this year, from 1st February until now. The cases are still ongoing. So one of these cases is the first one will be the Memorial Healthcare. So what happened was a private non-profit health care system based in North Florida. They recently detected a cyber attack on its IT system, which prompted the organization to take systems offline. So they went completely offline. So surgeries or operations, non-emergency cases that were scheduled had to be cancelled or postponed until they had the situation in hand. So if you see, medical line is very important, and rescheduling an appointment could actually affect a patient's health, or they could even lead to death. So this is the kind of consequence you can face as a healthcare industry when you're attacked by a cyber criminal. Next one is school. So they found a ransom group called Royal. Yeah, the group name is Royal. Previously, like the other one, this is Royal. So for this, they actually sent a decryption notice. They say that you need to pay a ransom. If not, you will not get access to all your students' data and stuff. And this was sent through a printer, which is the printer actually printed out the um, notice for the school to actually pay a ransom. So what the school did is they went to close down the school until they gotten the situation in hand, and they had to go and hire a cybersecurity group and team to actually build the team better. Next is Ion Group. So what happened is the Ion Group disrupted the derivatives trading market. So a ransom attack on a unit of Ion Group, a data firm and major provider of trading and automation software to the financial industry, had an impact of derivative trading that is being evaluated. So Lockbit, the same group that I mentioned earlier in the first one. So what they did, they had threatened to leak the stolen data if they are not paid the ransom that they demanded for, but the group had no choice but to follow because they do not have a proper backup. So these are few other variants that they found. So in ransomware, there are few groups that I mentioned earlier. There are also a few variants that you can spot easily. So the mockup ransomware instructs the user victims to contact the malware authors via text, a P2P instant messaging protocol. So the malware encrypts all files in each folder and added extension dot markup, so that be in your folder example one JPEG, then dot markup, something like that. So and also drops a ransom with a random readme warning text. So once you click this link, you will get the warning text on how to pay the ransom. Next one is Mason's ransomware, same thing. So they will encrypt all your data, PC, including photos, documents, Excel sheets, audio files, and videos, etc. And they will add a specific extension at the back called 662IX text. So if you see this um, text in your file or your document, you will know that you are a target, you are attacked by a ransomware. So another one is chaos. This is another variant that replaces the extension on each encrypted file with a string of random characters, completely random. So an example, like you will have a file called one JPEG. Like JPEG is a normal thing, right? So what you will see is one JPEG.uso double zero, or two JPEG one WXY, like completely random. So if you see all your files being renamed to be a very random numbers, you should know that you are a target of ransomware attack. So next one will be Nevada. So they usually target like high-end companies like Windows. So also the same thing, they will have the word Nevada at the back of each file. So example one jpeg.nevada. So you know that you are attacked by a ransomware called Nevada. And the next one will be largest independent car retailer in Europe loses customer due to a play ransom group. This is another completely another ransomware group. So this company called Arnold Clark, I'm not sure whether you've heard of it. I've never. So they are self-described as Europe largest independent car retailer. So they are notified that some of their customers' details, including their bank details, are all in hands of this group, and they will be exposing them out on social media and online platforms if they don't get paid the ransom amount demand that they are asking for. So the company had to immediately email all the customers and inform them that uh, their their data are out there, and this caused their reputation to go down low. Okay, so these are the three common methods how attacks happen. So first one is exploit kit. So how does this work? So most often executed when a victim visits a compromised website unaware. So malicious code hidden on the site, often in an advertisement format, redirects the victim to the exploit kit landing page, and through there they download by accident the malicious link. Next is malicious email attachment, like phishing, like I told you, where you get attachments and unknown attachments you open accidentally, it just gets access to your entire system. And malicious email is the same thing, where it's something like attachment, but it's basically a link that you get a link on the email saying that click here, that kind. Okay, these are five types of ransomware that I've listed down for you. So, crypto ransom or encryptors are one of the most well-known and damaging variants. So, this type encrypts the file and data within a system, making the content inaccessible without a decryption key, like the one I told earlier, where your files will be taken and they will send you a message saying that in order to get this decryption in exchange, you have to give a ransom that I'm demanding for. Next one is lockers, which completely locks you out of your own system as your files and applications are inaccessible. A lock screen displays the ransom demand, possibly with a countdown clock to increase the urgency and tension and drive the victim to do the act of paying them the amount. They don't give you the time to think. So next is scareware. It's a fixed software that claims to have detected a virus or other issues on your computer and directs you to pay to resolve the problem. Some type of scareware locks the computer, while others simply floods the screen with pop-up alerts without actually damaging any files. So it's like a threat. Then next is doxware or leakware, which threatens to distribute sensitive personal or company information online. And many people panic and pay the ransom to prevent private data from falling into the wrong hands or entering the public domain. Then RAAS stands for Ransomware as a Service, refers to malware hosts like the groups that I mentioned, anonymously hack and handles all aspects of attack from distributing ransomware to collecting payments and restoring access in return for a cut of the loot. So what has happened ever since now we have spoken to you about evolution. So what happens about the development? So what is the government doing? What are cyber security professionals doing? So what they do is they law enforcement successfully cracking down on ransomware, and also they have new regulations and sanctions in place for us to follow. And also for cryptocurrency, there are more new regulations which is going to be more safe for everyone. Okay, human element on ransomware and prevention. Here, I will talk to you more about preventing an act. Okay, so human error is one of the biggest security threats. I think most of us know that by now. But do you know that 82% of data breach involves a human element, and 19 out of 20 cyber breaches may not even have taken place if human error was eliminated? So for human error, there are two kinds. There's skill-based and decision-making. So skill-based is more like a mistake happened when you do a task that you do all the time. And decision-making is where you make a decision to, carelessly place your post notes on your screens or sharing your passwords with people and that kind of acts. So ransomware is more the skill-based error. So it consists of small mistakes, like what I said, when you're performing familiar tasks and activities that you do all the time. So mostly it happens due to lack of action and lack of attention. So this is why to enforce action and attention to employees, education and trainings are largely recommended. So how to prevent? So these are few steps I handpicked and placed. There are definitely many more, but these are the easiest and more recommended. So firstly, employee education, they have to understand the importance and they have to be knowledgeable enough to identify what is a malicious link, what is suspicious. In order to prevent an act, they first have to know how to identify one. So that is employee education, which is a must. Patch browsers and operating system, make sure that they are regularly patched, have a proper backup plan. I will share with you one backup plan that we can pick up later on, but this is one. Attention to cybersecurity. Most of the organization think that cybersecurity is not as important, or they think that I'm too small to be hacked, and then they don't really put cybersecurity in the list of their priorities. They have to first pick up cybersecurity as a priority. And then avoid disclosing personal information. Don't even share with your peers or family. Do not give an opportunity for hackers, and do not open suspicious emails. If you are not expecting this email, if you are not expecting any attachment or links to be sent to you, do not open it, especially when you don't know this user. Do not open it. And also never leave a unknown USD stick on your system. So for example, you receive a message saying that, oh, this is a presentation slide for a charity that we are doing, is completely unknown company and they're sending you, and you just want to, out of curiosity, put it into your system and check what's going on. No, don't do that. It may be a threat attacker's plan. And use strong authentications like multi-factor authentications. And also last but not least, this is very, very important, be prepared. Don't be very curious on don't be very consistent on preventing these attacks. Mostly be prepared if you are going to face one, because that's where many of us are not putting our mind in. Okay, I'm going to share with you about loss and cost. So there are two kinds. There are the traditional ransomware and the human operated ransomware. So human operated is mostly like say a typical ransomware attacks encrypts data, which stops the company from doing business until the ransom is paid. That is traditional. Human operator is where it doesn't do any of this. It actually gains access to a business network and move around the network to see what they can find and use to their benefit. So if you see traditional, less impact compared to human operated ransomware. So you have to always be beware of these human operator ones that will cost the company larger stake. So if you can see here, the loss can go from 1 million to up to 7 times, which is like 7 million. That's the amount of demand that they can ask. So this excludes the recovery fees and any other expenses. So the downtime and recovery, an average of 22 days it takes for a business to come back up and running after a ransomware attack. And the cost of downtime can be 50 times greater than the ransom demand. An average cost of a ransomware attack is $4.62 million, not including the actual ransom payout. Other expenses. So if you decide to go on a lawsuit, that could cost about 10 of millions due to reputational damage, and you're going to upgrade your revenue, that's going to cost you. Company insurance premiums going to cost, and 80% of the ransom paid reports are threatened for the second time, which is true. They do not stop. They will notice that you are easy because you paid the ransom to them. So they will keep keeping you as a target, and they will give you repeated attacks. So risk and recovery. Okay, so I have a few steps on how to recover from a ransomware attack. So first, you have to identify and protect your critical data. So what you identify the critical data, bring focus to the parts where it's supposed to be your priority, where you have to implement strictest protection and controls, and then follow data hygiene, and then have multi-factor authentications and such, and block places where you receive, you know that you receive sensitive things such as email from unknown people. Block that area. Step two will be a good backup procedure. So like I mentioned earlier, I'll share with you a backup step. So which is the 3-to-1 rule. So what you do is always keep 3 copies of critical data or the data you find that is important to you. So what you do is you keep 2 on different medias where it already had been, 2 different media sources, and 1 offsite, maybe physical. Keep 3 different backups. So in order for a ransomware attack to happen, you know that you have the data in backup form, so you don't have to pay the ransom to the attacker. Step 3 is to make an incident response plan. This is for you to document the act, so that in case if you have another potential attack coming towards you, you know what to do, you are prepared. So what this incident response plan has to cover is a preparation, detection, identification, analysis, containment, recovery, post-recovery phase. So I will share with you more later how a secure one will look like. So next is risk in recovery. So everything has risk. There's a risk when it comes to recovery as well. We accidentally download the ransomware along with your backup data. So this happens when the attackers don't go to your files, but they go into your backup system. They put the malware into your backup systems, and when you re-download it back for backup purposes, you download the malware along with it. So that's one risk. So how to prevent that from happening? So you can prevent that by happening by having immutable backup. So immutable backup, once you've written it, it cannot be changed. And backup recovery suppliers are building immutable backups into their technology, often targeting it specifically as a way to counter ransomware. So that's something that you can keep in consideration. So backup and monitoring. Okay, so this is how a secure backup plan outline should look like. It should consist of a desired outcome. It should have an importance and the benefit of having a proper secure backup plan. It should have instructions step by step what to follow, and it also should have assignment of accountability, which team is accountable for what, and also have a key result for that. So desired outcome is like ensure critical systems are backed up and backups are protected against deliberate attackers. So this is your outcome. This is your goal of the whole backup, followed by the importance. So organizations do not have protected backups or restoration procedures usually. So having this will ensure you have them in place. Then implementation. So first, you have to have a step by step on how to back up these critical systems, have a schedule, how regular you should do that, and also have a rapid recovery of business operation by um, exercising business continuity and data restoration, and also protect data against deliberate erasure. Then you have to have steps about MFAs and pins, and you have to write a step by step on where to store offsite and online, and the 3-to-1 backup, how to store it, have a clear guide, and also protect supporting the documents required for recovery, such as the procedure of restoration. Okay, assignment of accountability. So what you can do is you have a project lead for it, and then you can have a backup team, end user team, security policies and standards team, management for compliance and architecture. So in this way, you know who to find when something goes wrong, and you have instructions from various teams instead of just one team, so you can have a better progression and better monitoring of your data. Okay, so key results. What do you want out of this whole backup procedure? You want to monitor how long it takes for your company and your teams and your organization to tackle a breach. So you can roughly get a duration and timing. So you know that if you're going to get constant attacks, or if you fall victim another time, you know how sooner your company can go back to business without having any loss. So the restoration process involves several steps, including containment, removal of the threat, sanitization of components and resources necessary to restore the system to normal, and then it is deemed fully resolved. So just because you remove the malware temporarily doesn't mean that you are ready to go and up for business. Usually it means that you are just taken the first step. So there are many steps to fulfill before you are deemed as fully restored. So that is why you need a secure backup plan. Okay, so I've also put up whatever I shared with you earlier. I've picked up points and I've made a checklist where you can see whether you are aware, whether your company is aware of ransomware. So you can download this checklist. Later, I'll share with you the link. You can download this checklist and you can mark the boxes and see whether you're aware. Okay, next we are going to go discuss about case studies. Feel free to ask any questions to the case studies in the chat, and we can analyze this together. Okay, so first case study, there was a hospital with malware infected on all 680 of their networks, and a message was sent to them asking for 150 bitcoins, which is about 1.734, to recover the organization systems, including they also mentioned details on how to make the payment. So, how could we have avoided this situation? So, one, email attachments are the prime source of infection, like what I mentioned. The malware links and attachments sent via email. And so have a proper email scanner, avoid and block unwanted mails, and or use temporary emails in this email host. So in this way, you can avoid downloading malicious links. Also have frequent offsite backups. The 3-to-1 backups have your backups in store, physically offsite, and two in other media platforms. Also, security awareness. Train your staffs to identify and spot phishing emails, like what I mentioned earlier. So this could have avoided this whole ransomware attack and could have saved the hospital and patients from a lot of um, discomfort. Okay, case study two. So this is where a practice manager accidentally opened an email attachment, immediately noticed that she has no longer access to any of her files, and she received the ransom demand pop. So what was the problem here is they had zero backup. They had no backup. They didn't store the data any other form, not even one way. So what happened is she has no other choice but to pay the attacker to retrieve the file because she was desperate to get the file back. And study three, this is very, very common in my opinion. A physician came back from lunch to find the network encrypted along with a ransom demand. And this happened mainly because he believed that his practice is too small to be hacked. So never underestimate or don't think that you will not be a target if just because you are too small. No, like what I mentioned earlier, the devices are their target. Okay, now we are at the Q&A section. Before we move on to the questions, I'll share with you how to access the ransomware checklist and our resource library I put in my slides earlier. Okay, so this is how. Go to our website, Start Security, and then there's Free Resources tab. Click on it, and you can see various decks, slides, and also guides. So the checklist will be also there, and all you have to do is click on the resource that you want to gain access to, and then you will be lead to a page where you have to put in your name, email, company, and country. And once you have done that, you will receive an email with the document ready to download, and you can have access to it. You can download as many as you want. It's free. And the slides that I'm sharing with you now, webinar slides will be uploaded in the resource library as well, where you can access. And we will be regularly uploading things for free learning in our resource library. So please keep a lookout.